Hello and welcome back to the Lapdown Podcast. We have a new champion. It's the championship episode. I was smart enough to think, I'll put a collared shirt on. It's a bit of a fancy occasion. Dan's got his sweats on, but we're here to talk about what went down on a little bit of an interesting Sunday night in Abu Dhabi with sort of a little bit to unpack. Some of it important, some of it very not. Dan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I am wearing sweats for multiple reasons. Main one being because it's cold as balls back here in the UK. And the second one as well is it feels like the kind of attire that you would wear at 1:45 in the afternoon after an absolute bender of a night out, having just been celebrating a new Formula One world champion, which I haven't been doing. It's more so of the fact that it is just cold as balls back home here in the UK. So, That's why I'm dressed for the occasion. It's comfortable, and I'm warmer than what I would be if I wasn't wearing the sweater.
There you go.
I think as far as I'm concerned, it's a big win. But other than that, I'm doing pretty well. And if you are new here, and you're also doing well because you're enjoying this excellent form of Formula One broadcasting. We're not a podcast, we're broadcasters.
Oh!
Yeah, no, we are. We just are, because
Investigative broadcasters.
Where's the line now between influencer and analyst and ex-pro and broadcaster? Because everything's just kind of merging all into one now. Everybody wants a slice of every pie. Anyway, we're going on a tangent, and that's another rant for another day and to do with other things. But if you're enjoying it, subscribe, follow it, like it, share it, all of that great stuff. And next week, to wrap up the 2025 Formula One World Championship season, Alex and I will do a question and answer podcast episode. So drop us your emails at lapdownpod@gmail.com. There's no at the start of the email, but you know how this works. And we will answer every single one of them, which will be good.
Yes, whether it's about the pod itself, the season itself, F1 in general, just stuff in general. We'll cast a wide old mailbag next week. So if there's anything you want us to break down, there will be plenty of stuff coming up over our winter break as well. We are not going on a hiatus. There's no government mandated break for the podcast. We shall be carrying on with various things into the earliest testing since I've been a Formula One fan in like the first week of February or something there in Barcelona. So not a huge gap for us to fill in this time, but a gap to fill in nonetheless. But that's looking ahead. We've got to look back a little bit first, because we had a race weekend. We've got a new champion. It was all kind of really tense and also kind of a little bit dull.
Yeah, that's a really good summary of the whole race, to be honest with you. There was the whole kind of tension and jeopardy and kind of scenarios that were developed and thought about by us and by others were all there, and they were all completely valid and added a lot of value to the entire build up to the Grand Prix. But when you got to the end of it, it felt like everything happened the way it should have happened during the course of 58 laps of the Yas Marina circuit. That's just kind of it. We had the qualifying. Lando was in second. He had a nice rear gunner to get around the first corner, and Oscar didn't challenge him until kind of the back end of that lap at all. Just let him get away. Max was on pole, so that was fine as well. And then everything just kind of just carried on, didn't it? There was a little bit. I suppose there was a little bit of, is Leclerc? Is he interested? Does he want this smoke this weekend? And I kind of got the impression that he couldn't really be bothered. There was a moment that he was just close enough to Lando where I kind of thought, Christ, this is going to get horrible now. And now Oscar's going to have to try and get ahead of Max, because otherwise this isn't going to work. But then if Oscar does that and Lando finishes fourth, then Oscar wins, and we're in all kinds of who knows what's going on. And it kind of feels like Charles got to the back of the McLaren and read the number plate on the back of it and went, Lando. Nah, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah, it was interesting through those first kind of 10 laps, because I was a little bit sort of like, a little bit like, I don't get nervous, but I'm starting to get a little bit away. But I've got it sort of two things. I think one, Lando, I think, and I have no data to back this up whatsoever, I can't help but feel that he was very much nursing those tyres in and sort of quite happily managing that gap to Charles as opposed to being hunted down. I think the gap stayed too manageable for too long for that not to have been a comfortable situation. I think it didn't feel like it was a big sort of like 3 or 4 build up, charge, pull back like we see if it's an actual sort of like on track battle. I do wonder if Lando could have put the foot down a little bit more, but was sort of happy enough going, I don't want to shred these mediums straight away. Yeah. I'm all good as long as this bloke doesn't get in front of me. So there's that. It was a little bit nervy though, because I think had Charles got ahead, he might have actually been a little bit slippery to get back past. Lando was running a little bit more rear wing, and I don't think it was quite so quick down the straights. I have a question that has sort of been answered, and it was a question that I was pondering while I was watching it. And Andrea Stella has come out since and kind of admitted it to a certain extent. How much of that move from Oscar Piastri was pre-planned by McLaren? How much of that was a deliberate ploy and a deliberate setup of Oscar's going to sort of protect you from the rear through the first corner, and then because we've put him on that alternate strategy, let him tear off on those hards because he's going to start playing fuck arounds with Max Verstappen.
Yeah, I think I messaged you that at the time, didn't I?
Yeah, and I didn't to start with think I was sort of on board with that, and then it all started making a little bit more sense.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Yeah, 10 minutes past 1 on that. I said to you, you reckon he let Oscar through? And you went, I think he's just being cautious and kind of a bit tiptoey. And I went, well, I don't hate the shout of letting Max not slow things down. And that's kind of what had been discussed, hadn't it, in the build-up to it. And there was all of that talk about the fact that Max would have sat in P1 and kind of just done enough, but driven in a way to make sure there was never a pit window for anybody to have kind of come back out in and therefore potentially ended up in a little bit of jeopardy. That jeopardy kind of happened because they had to cover off Leclerc they had to box probably earlier than what they would have liked anyway. But in terms of it as a genuine strategy, Lando did not fight or defend it at all. Plus, he was in theory on the better tyres, and it completely nullified any kind of buggery games from Max Verstappen in order to put that. Because had he have slowed right down, he would have gone, oh shit, Oscar's gone past me. Yeah. What do I do now? Is that what Stella had kind of admitted afterwards? Is that what he's kind of alluded to afterwards?
Yeah, it's sort of, I'm aggressively paraphrasing a bloke that was being a little bit coy, and also, I mean, I read this in text, so I've got no idea his tone. Just a little air of smugness, I think, of like, yeah, that was a discussed strategy. He didn't go as far as to say that's exactly what the plan, that wasn't, he didn't come out and say that was plan A, but he did say, yeah, that was absolutely something that we discussed, and it does start to make more sense, and it explains a little bit Oscar on that hard tire. It means that he's going to be running a different race, he's going to be out of sync with those, and there's the hard tire was always favored, I think, as the quickest race tire realistically around that circuit. So I like it, and dare I say that, not rare is a harsh word. It's an uncommon McLaren strategy win from the back half of this season. That if indeed, I mean, they might be chatting absolute shit now, and they might be going, hey, we can make this look like we did that on purpose, but actually Oscar just got a great fucking start. But it does feel as though they've actually, I'm not even going to say outsmarted, because I'm sure there were plenty of simulations that Red Bull ran that included Oscar getting past him into the first corner and whatever. But it did feel a little bit as though they played their best hand there to just get the result they needed. It didn't make for particularly exciting racing. It didn't make for silly buggers, but it made for a McLaren job done. And in a weird way, was it like the kind of final form of papaya rules? In the sense that it was like swap position, help each other, everyone's sort of equal. By doing this, where not disadvantaging anyone, but kind of giving everybody the best possible scenario by making a bit of a swap.
Yeah, like almost like the Papaya Rules final boss type moment.
Yeah.
Yes, but they still also set it up in a way to kind of back both horses, didn't they? They still mathematically had both horses in the race. And had Lando had stayed in P2 and Max had cleared off down the road and Oscar had been kind of boxed back behind Lando, acting as a rear gunner, had anything gone awry with Lando Norris's car, the gap and the difference then would have completely put Oscar Piastri out of the race, and then therefore mathematically made it, or almost made it impossible for him to have gone and challenged Max Verstappen in order to win that Grand Prix and therefore then win the World Championship. So they were kind of backing both horses by doing it, although one of the horses had 3 legs and the other one had 5 with a turbocharger and stuff like that. There was one that was considerably favourable. I wonder as well whether that whole McLaren family, despite the noise that's on social media, despite the noise within the media and the press, depending on where that press is coming from, and despite the likes of us two kind of sat here having these discussions, is it all a little bit more harmonious at Woking than what is ever being given credit for? Because that it just felt so there was no arsiness, there was no nothingness, there was a little bit of you. And if you read into it, you listen to some of the post race radio messages, and you think, oh god, what a smarmy git, he's come through and said this. And actually, like Zach Brown to Oscar Piastri, you kind of get the impression, you go, well, actually, if you don't look at it through a particular lens, it's incredibly sincere and incredibly genuine. And the conversation that he had with Tom Stallard was incredibly genuine and incredibly sincere. The words he had back to the team were incredibly genuine and incredibly sincere. The embrace that he had with Lando felt genuine and felt sincere as well. None of it felt like a, oh, do I really have to do this? Come on now. Like we were so close, but we didn't get it. Maybe we've fallen for all of this kind of nonsense and kind of storytelling, and actually the whole setup is a lot more harmonious than what we ever gave it credit.
Yeah, I've almost got no doubt that it has been and has been the whole time, I think, and even possibly through the roughest of the Papaya Rules bits. Like that's never actually looked like a fragmented team. They've made some blunders with it. Obviously, they're all media trained within an inch of their life, and there's certain things that we're getting different pictures of. But yeah, they do seem like teammates that are within a team. And there was chat. I mean, we're going to go into this a little bit with social media in a second with an email from our favorite Canadians, but social media loves inventing all of their own stuff. And there was chat in the F1 subreddit of, oh, no, there's no way that the two McLaren boys would rather lose to their teammate than Max Verstappen. They'd much rather lose to Max than they would to their own teammate. Absolute cockwank. Like, they're mates. I'm not saying they're best mates, but they are two mid-20s blokes that work together, and they are clearly perfectly amicable work colleagues. I don't need them to be doing more than that. I would always rather lose to my own guy than someone else. And it's not as if, Max and Lando have always had a good relationship. I am still certain that if Norris had to choose who he'd rather lose to someone within the house, because at least then you're kind of in the celebrations as well. So, yeah, I think it's always been, I mean, we're making big sweeping statements here, both of us, but yeah, I think it's always been happier families. I think people wanted it to be unhappy families, and I think that's where a lot of it comes from. People want tension, and they want it to be another kind of Hamilton-Rosberg internal battle kind of bullshit. I just don't think it kind of ever was. I think it was, and they've got the job done. And sincere. They all looked completely sincere the whole way through, apart from Zach Brown's weird comments, but we'll get to those in a second.
Yeah, that was weird. What else we got to box off kind of within race mode? Because it wasn't really a great deal, was there? It was do you want to talk about the big talking point?
Oh, mate, Yuki.
Yeah, the penalty / was it a penalty, wasn't it a penalty type situation. That's the big thing, isn't it? That's really what happened through a pretty benign kind of 58 laps of Abu Dhabi.
Yeah. I will kind of run at that in a couple of ways. First of all, Yuki, what the fuck are you doing? Is the first way that I'll run at that. Don't be all... Cocky's not quite the right word, but don't be all overly self-confident on the radio when your engineer reminds you that Lando's coming. Be a fucking brick wall. And don't be all like, I know what to do, clap backy on the radio. And then see him start to piss past you and think, well, my only option here is to try and ram him into a wall. That's not knowing what to do, Yuki. That's the opposite of knowing what to do. You had not a whole lap, but near enough a whole lap to do a Fernando Alonso, forget which one's the loud pedal, and slow him up through there's plenty of windy bits at Yas Marina that no car has ever gone past another car, that you could have easily, he says, as someone that's never driven or actually touched a Formula One car, taken 3 or 4 seconds out of Lando Norris through the wiggly bits. You know, going under that bridge section and where it gets really tight and right angly and you're just not making... No, if you want to make a move through there, you're getting your dick out to make a move through there. You could have backed him up quite comfortably. Don't try and do it on the straight when he's got DRS. What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is going to sound like an absolute pylon. If we compare that to Minister of Defense stuff from Checo all those years ago now, and the way Checo's racecraft, in the way he held up Hamilton through that and held up, did his job there, compare that with Yuki Tsunoda doing a fucking slalom run down the back straight and trying to put him into a wall, you kind of maybe get your answer on top of something else that, again, I'm foreshadowing that we'll talk about in a bit. You kind of get your answer why Yuki is not going to be driving a car next year. It feels harsh, but that's, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it was dangerous. Absolutely dangerous at the end of the day. And it kind of felt like the last resort for a guy that is quite literally having his last moments in this sport. I think if you needed... Look, I've got another little fact and figure here to go with why Yuki Tsunoda won't be on the grid next year and why I think I'd be surprised as to why we would see him again is the fact that he has had the second best car on the grid this year. And considering the amount of hate that is delivered towards Lance Stroll from every corner of the world, he's actually finished behind Lance Stroll in the Formula One World Championship. Now, let's not forget as well, the 33 points that Yuki Tsunoda has picked up, and I don't know the exact breakdown, but the majority of those are likely to have come in a Visa Carb Cash App.com Formula One racing team thing at the start of the year in those first 4 races. That's how off the pace he's been. And it was an absolute moment of desperation that could have ended horrendously for so many people. Unfortunately, it didn't. But Lando did go off the track to make the overtaking move. So if you went on the internet, I think he should have got a 5-second penalty.
Yeah, I mean, shut up to anyone that is out there genuinely. I do a lot of that. Almost needs to be a specific segment on this podcast. Is Alex tells people he's never met to shut up. But
yes,
the stewards, and we have bagged them a lot this year, and I think we need to get better at praising them when they do the right thing. Well done, because that was logic and reason and sanity and a correct application of the rules, and that's not bending rules, that's not favoring anyone, that's just correctly stewarded. I mean, if you are genuinely trying to suggest that Lando Norris should have taken a penalty for avoiding a slalom skier down that back straight who's tried to punt him into a wall, and as a result of that he went off the track by 2 centimeters during an overtake that he was already getting done down a straight, stop watching. find a different sport, perhaps lawn bowls. Perhaps you might like lacrosse. They get to run behind the goal in that. That's quite fun. But it's leaving the track and gaining an advantage, first of all. And the quite important part of that is gaining an advantage. And the advantage that Lando Norris gained was that he still had a car. So if you want to penalise that, I know you're going to be one-eyed as a Red Bull supporter, but all I'll say is Red Bull didn't kick off about it. And that has if they genuinely disagree with that, I can guarantee you fucking Christian Horner would have been back in the paddock somehow and on the radio. Fucking Wheatley would have come storming down from a different pit wall. He doesn't even work there anymore. And he would have put a headset on and gone, Jonathan. Like, it's not a penalty. It's never a penalty. Well done.
Correct. For genuinely, I think the first time for a long time, we're able to sit here and say, just great work. Yes. Great work. And Red Bull didn't complain about it because even those in the Red Bull kind of situation would have looked at that and gone, oh, God, that's awful.
Yeah.
And they knew it was wrong. It'd be a bit like walking around Tesco's or Woolies and having some random person put a 4-pack of Mars bars in your coat pocket when you're walking around and then being accused and being kind of persecuted for shoplifting as you walked out the store. You go, I didn't know anything about it. So what? Yeah. Well, yeah, but you still did it. Yeah, but I didn't. No. It felt like the reaction felt like a very 2025 Western world reaction of we will be militant. We'll take the high hill because it's not our guy. If it happens to your own guy, happens to your own person, all of a sudden your views and your thoughts about that particular moment change quite significantly. But Yuki, I don't even know what the right word to use here is. I mean, so many of them aren't appropriate anymore, but what a prick.
That is the deep level of insight that people come to this podcast for. Is this our summary of Abu Dhabi 25 is Yuki, dead. What a prick.
Brain dead.
It is. It is.
Absolutely brain dead.
Yeah. Last potentially sort of in-race thing from me. Well, two things, actually. It's going to be another Lance Stroll shout-out in a second.
Lance. Twice in a week.
Fair play to Lando Norris's overtakes in that Grand Prix. Okay, there wasn't necessarily hundreds of them lap after lap, but if you've pulled off a double overtake down into that corner, which, yeah, it's an overtaking corner, but a lot of the time you're probably only picking one pocket. I shat myself because you sort of thought, yeah, he's going to get that move done on the back car. And then he just forgot to brake, and all of a sudden he's now taking on the next one. You think, I really hope that Liam Lawson is paying attention here and doesn't just turn in because he doesn't think he's going to be there. It's an incredible move. And to jig up an old quote, it's a move of a champion, that one. Because I think that was actually not decisive as such. It all sort of worked out with plenty of buffer, but it's a pretty decisive move. 1 lap, 2 laps more there. He's falling back towards Leclerc pretty quickly. Who I think did Leclerc do the same thing? Double steamroll down the inside and take both of them as well.
Yeah. On track, Lando was superb. He was absolutely superb, wasn't he? He did everything he needed to do. He didn't do anything more, but absolutely everything that he had to do. McLaren, as well as a team, nailed the strategies. They nailed the pit stops. They got him out in the best possible spots that they could do throughout all of them. They even got to the point where Leclerc boxed twice, then kind of didn't box Oscar to bring Lando in, so that therefore that still happened, because by which point the time was running out within the Grand Prix and Oscar would have required a safety car to have kind of been in there. That's one thing I will say, right? Now, you mentioned 2021 and time has passed. Mm-hmm. The scars are still there. They still hurt. They're still there. They're still visible. They're not these things that have kind of, they're deep scars. That now, like, they're the ones that kind of you roll your sleeve up and somebody goes, oh, what happened? And you go, got bitten by a shark, didn't I? And they're those kind of ones. And as that Grand Prix went on and on and on, and I really like Bernie Collins. I think she's got so much value to add. But I was screaming down at the TV, just, Bernie, shut the fuck up. Stop talking about pit stops. Stop talking about safety car restarts. Stop talking about soft tires. We all know what funny little game you're trying to play here. Let's manifest another one of these 21s. Like, oh, a little 3-lap shootout. Fuck off. Like, that was the worst part of the 2025 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And possibly, like, it felt like lazy, easy, low-hanging broadcasting. It was just kind of like, oh, yeah, well, don't forget what happened 4 years ago. It could happen. Shut up. Shut up.
There was
Shut up.
a little... You talk about scars, though, that Lando, that had no part in the 21 debacle, clearly had his own scars, because when he had that little back and forth on talking about the soft tire, and Lando threw a line in there of like, oh yeah, but as long as the safety car doesn't get held up or something like that. Like, they're already planning for safety car fuck up drama in their tire choice for the safety car. Like, I've not seen it before.
It's because everybody knew it was bullshit.
Thank God it didn't happen, though.
Everybody knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to give a shout out to Lance Stroll, because
Please do.
He's going to go down in the history books, is our Lance, because he pulled off the last overtake with DRS. Well done, Lancey boy. So get yourself in the history books, I guess. He pulled off an overtake is the big news. So
does that put him on the radar for the 2026 Preferred Driver of the Lapdown podcast?
Nope.
No,
Absolutely fucking not, it doesn't.
Fine. That's another episode coming up over the winter, by the way. So you kind of stay tuned for that one as you and I go through and discuss the contenders to who could be up for grabs, and maybe we open that up to the wider space actually. And we have it's not just it's not yours and ours. It's everybody's Preferred Driver of the Lapdown podcast, and we can put it out there and we can make it a communal thing. So we'll figure that out. And then post race happened, and that was all really strange.
Yes. All of it. Every part of it.
So odd, so scripted, so kind of empty.
Yes.
And very strange. Like, look, people could come for me here, but it felt like Zach Brown had been practicing and rewriting his line as to what he was going to say down the radio. And it was almost kind of waiting for like a bit of canned laughter to come down the radio after he'd said the punchline. Lando's crying sounded a little bit fake. Then look, there's a lot to break down. The cool down room was odd. The constant hair tussles of Lando Norris was odd. The parents just kind of stood there was peculiar. I quite liked seeing the drivers every now and again just appear through a crowd of people and just kind of go, oh, there's another one. That was quite cool. But yeah, so strange. And then obviously the podium, and just odd.
Yeah, I'm slightly less cynical on bits of it than you, I think. I will certainly give Lando full credit that I think he was in tears for most of the evening, in fact, because he started going again in a couple of interviews. So I will give him full credit on that. Zach Brown, what the fuck are you doing? What's that? That's garbage. Not again, ever, please. Can we unplug his radio for all future races? That was... I mean, if there's one thing Christian Horner got right, and there are a lot of things he got right, in fairness, if there's one thing he got right, it's congratulatory team radio. Even for normal Grand Prix. I would say a normal Grand Prix, Christian Horner, what are Max? Better than a Zach Brown hotline bling bullshit, whatever that was.
Yeah.
Like,
It's a main character syndrome, isn't it, for Zach Brown?
It's awful, because he's definitely planned it. That's not a line you play. It might have been an inside joke. If it's an inside joke that they've had before, whatever, fine. It's like the Michouz thing with Jav. Whatever, fine. You can have inside jokes on the radio. I don't think it was. Because Lando sounded a little bit like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
my thing with all of it, it seemed to be lacking energy. And there didn't seem to be, bearing in mind that's a maiden world championship for a driver that has come back from a tidy points deficit. And okay, that final race, and where I think part of that lack of energy comes from, is that the race itself, if Lando wins that race, I think it's probably all very different. I think if a bloke's come across in third, it's a little bit harder, I think, to have a big swell up of energy.
Yeah.
But it did all just feel very low key for a big build up, championship battle, final race, first championship thing. And it just all kind of was a bit sort of like emptying balloon. It happened, there was a bit of a noise, there was a balloon, but it was just kind of, it is your birthday type business.
Yeah. I think I used the phrase kind of main character syndrome from Zach. It, as you said, Christian would give it the big uns down the radio, but it would never necessarily be about him. And I suppose directly that message from Zach Brown wasn't about him, but it still felt like, oh yeah, mate, I can get a great TikTok clip here if I say the line. Yeah. Like this clip's going to go viral. McLaren socials are going to love this because they're going to put some jazzy kind of subtitles on the clip, and this is going to be good. We can collab on it. I'm going to gain some followers, and that's kind of how that felt through for the radio. Or the alternative was it felt like somebody's pissed up uncle just turned up at a birthday party and was like, "Oh fuck, mum, dad,
Christmas Day
why
uncle
did you
energy.
invite Zach again? Why?
Yeah.
Like after last year." Surely the time that he pissed in the trifle, it is not the person to bring back to the Christmas party. It felt like one of those, but yeah. And what is it with like tussling Lando's hair? Every bugger that I genuinely think the entire population of Abu Dhabi had a go on Lando Norris's hair over the past 24 hours. Just a random every now and again. You just see a random hand just coming, just like.
Yeah, but I think it was just MBS over and over again. I don't
Do you think it was the same person?
I think it was just MBS over and over again because he's a fucking weirdo creep prick. Like, it just...
could be that.
The fact he forced Lando to give him a hug, first of all. I mean, if you've ever seen a bloke look like he's just bought a rent boy for the evening in Abu Dhabi, there it is, MBS on Lando Norris. Come and hug me, you're going to pretend that you like this even though I'm giving you £800 for the next 45 minutes.
And there's the official moment where Lapdown Podcast will never be the official podcast of the Formula One World Championship, but carry on.
But it just... He had to insert himself in every situation, and he hovers, and he was in the background of every shot and every picture, and I am pretty certain that that's him rustling hair again in the cool down room, because I can't think of anyone else, and I need to sort of tread carefully here on how I phrase it, and I do phrase it being very genuine. It's a very obvious outfit that MBS wears all the time, right? His clothing is quite unique. It's the same all the time. It's that traditional, I don't actually know what you call it, shawl, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in Abu Dhabi. There's a few of those kicking about, but not in the cool down room. Like, and not in the cool down room with someone that has enough arrogance about them to go and touch the now world champion. Like, it's
for luck.
It can only have been him.
It's like touching the head of a newborn baby, isn't it? It's just trying to get a little bit of luck off the newborn world champion. Can we talk as well with the cool down rule? And I'm sure Oscar and Max had been sat in there for fucking ages whilst Lando was fannying around down on the grid, cuddling and all these other... But how unbelievably awkward was that piece of conversation between the two of them? I'm sure that they'd had a proper little chat before they'd got in there and kind of went, oh, well done, how did you see it? Oh, good for Lando. Hey, yeah, not bad, and all this other stuff. God, you weren't far away. Yeah, decent. How are your tyres? Blah, blah, blah. That conversation between the two of them, was it along the lines of what was Oscar's final comment about the 2026 cars when he'd kind of said about Max?
Oh,
it was
like,
the most
at least
kind
you
of
don't have to drive him again or something.
Yeah, and Oscar kind of final two words was, "Yeah, you're right." Or just the absolute kind of no interest in this conversation going in. I don't see the two of them sending many reels and memes off Instagram to one another during the off season.
No, it was the I mean, we've done plenty of race director chat. Broadcast director chat through the course of this season. But the sheer energy swap from, grid, everyone's trying to hug Lando, drivers are coming up, there's people everywhere, there's fireworks and all this, that, and the other, to just silence in the cool-down room.
Yeah.
Because those two are sitting on a couch that is far too big for two people. And they don't know what to do with each other. And then we go back downstairs again and there's fireworks. And then we come back again to the cool-down room. And now here comes Stefano Domenicali. And then we're back downstairs again and there's fireworks. It's just... Oh, did we not preview the cool-down room before we cut to it? Like, that's...
Yeah.
Bizarre.
Did they just assume that Lando was going to kind of teleport up the 8 flights of steps or whatever from the grid to the cool-down room and was just going to kind of cutscene appear as he walked through the door, and we just got left and lingered because it was didn't want to back anyone up. That was it. Honestly, what a shocking job. But quite funny. Quite funny.
Right. I have a couple of general wrap-up things. We have the email from our Canadians. I think now is a decent time to touch on that as a little bit of a wrap-up. Because it kind of summarizes a chunk, I suppose, of what we've talked about there in one form or another. But Ryan is back, and Ryan has said, why is there so much McLaren hate from non-McLaren fans this year? And I'll even extend that and say internal hate from McLaren on themselves from McLaren fans. Because Ryan makes the point that if it wasn't for McLaren, we would have had a pretty dull 24 and 25 season. And he points out the journey that McLaren have been on from being absolute... I mean, if you think Bahrain 23 to sort of where they've been over the last couple of years... is this not, and his exact question is, having someone dethrone Red Bull is exactly what we want as F1 fans, is it not? It's not like McLaren has been utterly dominant like Red Bull were, or the Mercedes run prior to that. McLaren literally made F1 interesting again. What do you think, Dan?
I think people love just to hate shit, don't they now?
Yeah.
It feels so much easier just to be really negative about stuff than just actually kind of get behind things and enjoy it. We feel, hey, look, this is very kind of socially. This is more of a social comment, I think, rather than specifically about Formula One. But I don't really think we enjoy seeing people do well, particularly when it's not your people. And in this instance, kind of, if you're a Red Bull fan, it's you're not that keen on the fact it's a McLaren. And if you if you were not a Mercedes fan when Lewis was in that position, and then likewise if you're an Oscar person and not a Lando person. But yes, I mean, Ryan has summed it up really well there in the sense that it has been made really interesting. We've had McLaren cocked it up last year, and we should have had a much closer title fight than what we did have. They should have scrapped. They should have scrapped off papaya rules. They should have changed them. They should have changed the color of it. They should have given it a special livery for the end of the season, and they should have kind of made that work. And we should have got a better end to 2024. But 2025 has been ideal. It's been perfect, really. We've had a good, genuine battle between the two cars at the top of the table, and we've had a real fight back from somebody who at halfway stage you wouldn't have said stood a chance, and really made the McLaren team panic about it. And it was a really, really good season. I just think it comes down to as simple as, if it's not your person, you don't like it. And I don't think it doesn't feel like you hear from many people that kind of have an opinion in the middle. You either have to be extreme on one side or extreme on the other, because they're the ones that shout and scream the loudest, and they're the ones that you hear from because they provide you with those sensational points. I really hope that more people look back at it and go, fuck, that was really good. Like, really good. What a season that was. What a battle it was between the two McLarens. Weren't they great? I'm like happy for Lando, because yes, somebody had to win it, and fine, he did well, and he'd been with McLaren since he was like an infant and had really kind of built through it. Oscar, I'm certain, if McLaren have got a competitive car again, will get another chance. I don't think they'll favour him over Lando at all. but I think he'll get another chance. Max will be there or thereabouts again. And you can kind of see, if you add Leclerc and you add Russell into it, you can see kind of like 5 genuine Formula One world champion contenders going into 2026 if they're given the package that they want. And it's just been a good year.
Yeah. And the point you make there about sort of people just don't want to see people do well, I mean, there are already plenty of comments on open any of the various F1 socials on any account, and you're going to see, oh, such an undeserving winner. Like, that's the, Lando doesn't deserve that. And it's like, well,
yeah,
he absolutely does, because the whole point of a 24 race season with a points system is that it rewards consistency and it rewards the whole year. We don't have a final structure in Formula One where you qualify for the finals and then someone gets knocked out in the semi and all of a sudden it's sudden death. The whole reason we have this reasonably complicated 25 down to 1 point system and you got to get into the top 10 and then there's bonus points for this and there's sprints and all the rest of it is because that way, if you're Lando Norris in Zandvoort and your car goes kaput, that's not you gone, because you made up for that with other races that you had. And if you're Max Verstappen and you, for whatever reason, red mist and drive your car into another driver in Spain, okay, we could try and take those elements as individual occurrences and say, oh, well, Max lost that because of Spain. No, Max lost that because over the course of 24 opportunities to score 25 points, plus another, 8 opportunities to score 8 points, he missed out on 2 of those points. It's a lot of fucking points available in Formula One, and it's not individual moments that cost it. So Lando deserves to win and is a deserving winner because he got the most points. That's how points work.
It's a good point. Speaking of points, I guess how many points would be available? Say you went through and won everything. You're probably talking about 700 points worth of Grand Prix motor racing.
I'm going to do some investigative mathematics here.
That would be helpful. It's got to be getting close.
So you've got 24 rounds where you can win 25 points per race, right? That's 600 points. And then we have 8 sprints, right?
Yeah, 8 times 8 is 64, points. Isn't it?
Yeah. So in theory, now that we don't have fastest lap points, 664 points is the absolute maximum. What did Lando end up on? Like 460 or something like that?
Something like that. You would
high fours? You would mid fours?
Yeah. Closer to 5 than he was 4, wasn't he? But you would think that the most kind of sensible and level-headed and minded people around the world would go, of a battle of 664 points over a 10-month or a 9-month season, you probably would get the person at the top of the order that deserved to be there. As you said, we're not basing a world championship solely on the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. The other 23 races, they do contribute and they do mean something to it. And just because Max has won the last 3 on the bounce doesn't then make him a more deserving world champion than Lando. And just because Oscar had led the most laps in the season doesn't make him any more deserving than the next person. At the end of the day, everybody got a fair crack to win the same number of points as everybody else. And one person won 2 more than the next person, and that's enough to split them. How many points do you need to win a world championship? 1.
Yeah. And we use a lot of cricket analogies on this, and we'll do a little bit of Ash's chat because you're English and I'm Australian and 2-0 fuck off. But there was an interview that came out of the most recent test match, and I won't go into detail on this because I'm sure the crossover of our audience of people that like cricket and like F1, there'll be about 3 people that know what I'm talking about here. But Australia scored 500.
The audience is 5.
Australia's got 511 or their odds, like low 500s, right, in one of their innings. And one of the batters was asked afterwards, oh, yeah, but bit of a shame that none of you individually scored 100. And they turned around and went, I mean, we got 511, so I think we did all right. And that's kind of what's going on here. It's like you don't need someone to score 100. You can still get to 511. I'm sure it's mathematically easy enough possible to win a world championship without winning a race out of 24. If you finish second every weekend and just stayed there, and you would if we just penned in, you're going to enter next year, right? You're 23rd car on the grid. You're not actually going to race because you don't know how to drive an F1 car. But we're just going to give you 18 points every weekend and 7 points in every sprint. I reckon you'd come pretty close to probably winning the World Championship, provided that someone else doesn't win every week.
Hang on. I'm doing some journalism.
Here we go. Investigative mathematics again.
If I can actually kind of work out how this works.
Numbers. 18 times 24.
I think if you finish second in every single Grand Prix, including the sprint races, I think you'd finish with 490 points.
Yeah. So you're going to be right up that pointy end.
I think you'll have more than Lando.
Yeah. So
I think
it's that just you don't. It's a long year. It's a long year, and just do well. Do well, and you'll do well. There you go. That's deep investigative journalism, isn't it? Do well, and you'll do well.
No, I think that goes more into your coaching background.
There you go. That's what
do well, and you'll
always
do
got to
well.
be positive. Yeah,
inspirational.
Always got to be positive.
Front foot forward.
Should we now? This is kind of paint chat. We didn't get a chance, by the way. I'm very disappointed. A lot of the drivers came out with jazzy helmets, but they came out with jazzy helmets much too late for us to talk about their helmets. There will be an off-season episode. I'm sure we'll do some helmet rating, and we will come up with the best of those for the year. What number does Lando Norris pick next year? Does he stick with LN4? Does he become LN1? Does he release a whole line of merch with like Norris, but the I as a 1? Like, what's he doing next year, do you reckon?
1.
Yeah, straight in.
It has to be 1. It's got to be. I don't... Look, they made quite a big thing of it, and it's one of those things that I probably should have been more aware of, but wasn't. And when they kept saying, this is the 35th person in history to become a Formula 1 world champion. 35. Mm-hmm. 35 people since 1950 have become a Formula 1 world champion. That goes to show how hard it is to become that number one person. So to have the opportunity to run around with a 1 on the front of your car, knowing that you might never get that number again, would be completely and utterly ignorant when it comes to the actual kind of sport and the history and the way the world works. Get the number 1, you've earned it, slap it on the front of your car, make it a bigger font size than what you have had before. Make it the entire height of the nose cone. Start the 1 at the bottom of the nose all the way up, and the little pointy bit is literally at the very, very bottom of your cockpit, and you've got the entire nose cone, and it's a massive number 1. Have some glittery sparkles in it as well to make sure everybody knows. Just make the biggest song and dance that you possibly can about being the best racing driver in the world at the moment. And there's only 34 other people that have ever been able to have that same thing on the CV, which is phenomenal. And plus as well, it's easy. You know, the little LN thing that it's kind of in that boxy shape and it has a 4 in the middle. Just make it slightly more angular, and you can make a nice little 1 in the middle of it in the blank space there. It's easy branding. Get on with it. Lando won't be doing it. Let's be quite frank about it. He's not flying back on whatever private jet it is from Yas Marina or Abu Dhabi and starting to get his iPad out and drawing up his new logo. But whoever your manager, I guess, graphic design person is, just get them on it. Just get it done. Get the t-shirts out there now. You'll sell an absolute shit ton. And if you need any more cash, you probably earn a bit. Get the number 1. Have you got anything else that makes you go, nah, it's the wrong decision?
Just to be contrarian, because that makes for good podcast. That makes for good audio.
You're the wrong fucking place for that. This is a terrible podcast.
As you said, he has hidden a number 4 in his personal logo. Yep. He has built quite a lot of branding around LN4, and he has a lot of fan channels that are LN4 and all the rest of it. In modern Formula 1, this is a branding championship as much as anything else. We are here to sell, snus that you stick up your dick and whatever. Like that's why we go racing ultimately, is to sell you alcohol and dick snus. So that being true, I don't think I can't speak for him, but he's put a lot of time and effort into developing an LN4 brand. that you start to think, are you turning your back on... Are you starting again with all that branding that you've done? Do you need a new logo? As you say, you say that change his logo, just shift him around a little bit. You can get a 1 in there. I think he probably will take the 1. And I saw him signing some merch and stuff post-race, and he was already doing LN1 as his signature. Now, arguably, he could just be doing that because it had just happened, and it's a collector's item, special edition signature livery or whatever. It wouldn't surprise me to see him stick with it and to come up with some wank about, this is my number, this is what I race under, this is what I do. I think he does probably take 1 for the reasons you've said, that you get in potentially 1 chance to race with that number. And I think there's a decent chance he does take it, but I wouldn't be surprised to see him not take it.
I hate that take.
That's my sports media take kicking in too much, isn't it?
I hate it. It's, I don't know. I understand it. I understand the point you're coming from. And yes, he's invested a lot of time into making a nice graphic, but I dare say he's probably invested slightly more time in becoming a Formula One world champion than making sure the 2 letters of his initials line up nicely so there's a 4 in the middle of them. Do you know what? It looks like a logo that could have been created by accident. So look, take the 1, get on with it. Be the world champion that you've earned the right to be. Stick it on the front of the car and ride around with your massive penis on the front of your car next year because you are the best there is in the world. And isn't it mad as well? 34 other people. 34. In the history of the sport. And we spoke, didn't we, the other day about there will only be a set number of people that would know what it feels like to drive one of these modern era Formula One cars. And yet we've got obviously you and I and other experts on the internet telling you what people should and shouldn't have done and where they should have done it and how easy it would have been. True. And all this other stuff. And then to think there's 34 other people, of which a good percentage of them are now dead, know what it feels like to be a Formula One world champion. I mean, that's mental. That's so cool. That's got to be one of the coolest things. Imagine being able to introduce yourself as Lando Norris, Formula One world champion. Lando, Formula One world champion Norris.
It's got a ring to it. It's got a ring to it.
Yes,
hey, a new segment that I'm going to be bringing in for next year that builds nicely off that. Exciting for Formula One, according to Twitter, to have its first ever gay world champion. Because if you believe the hive mind of absolute, fan girling, a lot of the accounts feel like they say fangirling. Lando Norris is gay as fuck now, apparently, because he was in a nightclub dancing and there was a guy near him. So that's good for We Racers One and all that kind of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, but I don't think they do that anymore.
Oh, yeah, have we got rid of that?
Yeah, I think so. I think We Racers One, that's not been a thing for a while.
They solved it. Racism and sexism and homophobia is solved thanks to MBS.
That's bloody odd, because I'm pretty sure I heard Lando Norris say that his girlfriend was there.
Oh, yeah, no, she was. They made out a lot on the telly.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But there was more gayness. There was more gayness than the straightness.
Yeah, if you believe Twitter. If you believe Twitter, he is gay as anything.
Does it circle back around to our mate Ryan's point with regards to the email as to why everybody hates McLaren? That it's kind of got to a point that the World Championship is done now. They've run out of stones and sticks to throw at people, so they've gone to the bottom of the bag and just dished out something that would have been thrown around in primary school playgrounds in the 90s, and just sat there and gone, "Well, he's gay, isn't he?"
I don't know if it was a deliberate bit of wordplay from you there, but to say sticks and stones when we were in Abu Dhabi and then Qatar the week before, we're talking about Lando Norris now apparently being gay. It's just wonderful work from you, Dan. That's the deep political commentary that people come to this podcast for. But no, the reaching that happens on Twitter, and it's something that I want to track.
Or the reaching around.
Year. Or the reaching around in that nightclub. I mean, he touched another bloke's hair, so we all know what that means. But yeah, next year I'm going to try and keep you up to date. I'm going to try and infiltrate it. I'm going to try and keep you up to date with what the hive mind of Twitter had decided is that going to fabricate and come up with in their own minds this week. Because that was a shock to me. It was a shock to me having seen him making out with his girlfriend. She is just a showpiece, apparently. So,
Does she know?
Well, Depends if she's on Twitter or not.
Good point.
If she's not on Twitter, she can't know. It's only Twitter that knows.
It'd be an awkward flight home, wouldn't it?
Yeah, very. Not much
So,
room
Lando,
to escape on a private jet either. Like,
no, I was just scrolling through X whilst I was having my Cocoa Pops this morning down at the hotel buffet, and there was this account, and it's like at LN1 super fan, spelled FSUPA, hashtag 12, and it said that you like guys. Is that right? I mean, how does Lando, how does he deal with that kind of interrogation?
I mean, there's only 35 that have had to be interrogated like that, so there's just no way of knowing. There's just
True.
We can't possibly know. We cannot possibly know.
34
on that
to be
bombshell,
fair.
have we got anything else to talk about from
No,
Abu
no,
Dhabi?
I think that's it. We are world champion. How on earth have we spoken for 55 minutes?
Investigative maths, journalism, all the rest of it. We are on it. We are on it. Hey, Dan, if they'd like to hear you talk about something that's not Formula One, where should they go?
Well, if you want to see me cry on the internet, then Dan Jads is the place to go, because everything at the moment in the world of sport that I cover is incredibly depressing right now. And it's one of those classic things with the internet is people just choose to listen and ignore things that they want to say. People have completely forgotten that I said I thought the series result might be 2-2. And now people are going, you seriously said England were going to Australia to win? No, never said that. Never said it. But anyway, there we go. Find Dan Jads on the internet. That's the place to go.
There you go. And I will tell people again to go and follow Lapdown Pod on Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and go and engage with this there. And like we said earlier, we're going to do a mailbag next week. So lapdownpod@gmail.com. If you want questions answered about anything, maybe you want to know if you should wear your hair in a certain way or whether that sofa is the right color for your living room, we will have the answers, particularly if they're about paint, helmets, who's gay, investigative journalism, all of that. We are here to help next week. We've got a few things in the works, hopefully, as well, moving forward for next year, where we can get you guys more involved. And this isn't the last one of the series as such, but I will say thank you for listening to us this year and our woefully ill-informed, a lot of the time, takes, and a lot of chat about paint and helmets and all the rest of it. But it has been wonderful talking through the season with you. We've got some stuff to go through in the off-season, so if there's anything in particular as well that might not necessarily be for the mailbag, but that you would like to hear us digest, feel free to send that our way. Dan, final summary, one word for the 2025 Formula One season. Go.
Banged.
Ooh, that's going to make some tier lists good when we get around to that.
Yeah. It was a good season. Good season. Yourself, have you got a word to sum it up?
Nice.
Save those syllables.
I just feel like nice kind of sums it up because it was exciting and good, but then not a lot of the time it was low energy excitement. Like you had to stay quiet with it. And I think nice just sort of does that. But anyway, we have managed to get this up towards an hour. This might be a record length podcast for us as well. We've gone out with an absolute nice bang. So thank you for listening. We will see your schedule, I should say, as well, at this point. If you made it this far, you do probably care about the schedule. Schedule might start to become a little bit more random over the off-season. We might fall away from being quite so regimented because we're working on exciting things. So just make sure you've got like little bells and stuff on so that you know when new episodes drop in all the time. But that's it from me. I think soon that's it from Dan. And we will see you all next time.
See ya.